Thank you very much. As has been said, my name is Soipan Tuya. I'm born again. I was just counting the years since when I got saved. It was in 1990, 30-something years. And I will not say how old I was, because then you will do the math. But I thank God for the far He has brought me. I believe in destiny, God-shaped destiny, because when I look at my life history since I was a little girl to where I am today, I can only say God has designed a purpose for me. And just to go to what the question has been asked of what drives me, I consider myself a mentor by design. I derive a lot of satisfaction just seeing change in other people. It sounds so amorphous, but being that I believe in a God-designed destiny, I always believe that there's a reason for every step of where I find myself in. Currently, I'm the Cabinet Secretary in charge of environment, climate change, and forestry. It's a very almost divine sector to be in, especially at this time when we are right in the middle of the climate change crisis. It's quite a job, but I believe, despite the challenge and the huge responsibility, I'm driven by just trying to discover what is it that God wants me to do in this very big docket. I have also served as a member of parliament for 10 years, and I started when I was quite young. Again, a very big task. But after the 10 years, I could count 1, 2, 3 things that I was able to do in Narok County, and also as a leader in the National Assembly. I have served as one of the speakers in the National Assembly with Mheshimiwa Marido here. And just believing that God has put me there for a purpose. And I'm able to count 1, 2, 3 things that I'm proud of. And when I look at myself, I'm so small. I might not have a big net worth. I've not seen the Bishop's net worth. But as small as I am.
You should thank God.
During our vetting, I think I was third last when we were being vetted as cabinet secretaries. But, if I had time, I would really say how I have moved from one step to another in somewhat a divine way. Because I come from a very marginal community. I grew up. I have said before that my father, out of 15 children, was the only one who ever got to go to school, and that's where I am where I am. And I have hundreds of cousins and relatives who have never seen a door to a classroom, so I'm a product of just privilege. God just giving me an opportunity. So I'm driven by that, wanting to find out what is it that God wants me to do in this space.
Thank you. Let's pass to Marido. That's okay. Not easy to be in all these spaces that you have been in.
Thank you very much. I think I've been privileged to be part of this Ministry of Focus. When I was in the university, I was privileged to be the chair of the CU and quite work closely with Focus. And there's a whole issue of mentoring younger people, our leadership and all that, in social action and many other places. It's sort of over time got to desire to serve in public service, and from law school serve in politics. So got quite a bit of interest around issues of politics and what really can be driven from that end. So I remember when I went to be Speaker of Laikipia, just seeing little impacts, not very big, but very little impact of myself being Speaker really encouraged me that things can happen, not in very big ways, but small things, sometimes not seen, but I could see. Because of my being Speaker, you see little changes in Laikipia. I was very encouraged. So when I got to be Member of Parliament, I remember I did a post that night. I did a long post, it's still there on Facebook. And I did a long post around education. Because I got, as a Member of Parliament, I could drive issues of education in Laikipia. Some may have seen my social media as part of my journey over 5 years around the areas of education. I'm personally very gratified that I got an opportunity to do 5 years. The changes we did around bursary, the things we did around focus around education, infrastructure, the soft side of education in Laikipia. It's amazing how little changes. So that is what motivates me, that you, especially when I was a Member of Parliament, you go to a village, women are going for 20 kilometers to fetch water, and because of the office, after your term, women who go for 1 kilometer and get water. For me, that is extremely powerful. This is not always in the social media, on TVs, but at a personal level, that is very gratifying. There was a call for me over 5 years in Colossians chapter 3, verses 23 and 24 that says, the older Paul, when he said, servants unto the Lord. I think he was speaking to various categories of people, including slaves. And he says, servants unto the Lord. For me, is an extremely powerful statement. Servants unto the Lord. And that motivates me. Into that. And also my background, as he has said, got an opportunity to drive and to preside over very complex sessions with her at the National Assembly, just seeing maybe national budgets, sometimes sitting even at up to midnight, and getting that privilege to serve the country. Now as a Principal Secretary of Defense, it's also a huge privilege. I was telling someone, when I go to defense, the first briefing, I was wondering whether they are briefing me or someone else. Because I know this is a boy from Ghana somewhere. I wasn't sure whether the brief was meant for me about what is happening in the country. But it just tells you being at the center of that and how you can do that to progress the country, not in a big way, but in small ways. That motivates me. And finally, just remaining, this is constantly in me, and I got it from when I interacted quite a lot to focus around the student. It is service. I got to attend that conference where we were told we all can do something. It's so clear in my mind. We all can do something. It may not be very big, but a small thing where you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same question. You told us a lot about champions and you've seen in different spaces, from focus days in the church and now headed right for the bull. Really, what motivates you? What drives you all these years?
Thank you very much. If you have not got it, then I don't know what to say. But the Uganda motto is what drives me. For God and my country. I love God because he first loved me. And so I would like to see God's kingdom established around us. Because the Bible says that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And there are evidences of that across the globe, across history. Nations that have put God first have become superpowers. It's just facts of history. So I just imagine what would happen if Kenya would put God first. But I also love this nation, and I don't say that lightly. My wife Nancy can tell you the kind of things we have done as a couple in small ways to support this nation, including refusing to buy imported things so that we can support our nation. So that love for the nation drives me to do the things that I do in whichever corner I find myself.
Good, thank you very much. Deeply appreciate it. I think that was really to set the pace, because all of us, none of you say you are driven by by the jobs you have. Now you all have state security. None of you talked about those things. It's really the things.
I don't have any.
Oh yeah, you soon have. It's our job to make sure you are guarded, so that you do your job. None of you talked about those things, meaning that the things that drive you are more intrinsic, and it was good for us to start there. Time will not allow us to go to everything we wanted to discuss, because I want to bring the team, everybody that is here, in terms of even conversation. But I'd like to hear, again, coming back from the CS. So you've been involved in this space. From where you sit and the things you're engaged in, what are you seeing? There isn't what the Reverend has spoken about in terms of the country. What are you seeing? Where are the things you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis? Where are the gaps? What are the issues that we are dealing with as a country? Sometimes we sit from the back and say, those guys, they don't know what they are doing. But what are the things you're seeing and that you think will be important for the people in the room?
I would like to say, first of all, right from Bishop and where God is placing you, and where my brother Mariro is and where I am, we are at a point where Kenya needs, I don't know what to call it, but we need God. And having been placed in these spaces that we find ourselves in, we should not take it for granted, because this is a point of make or break for the country. I'll speak from my own docket. The country is so torn apart. It's dilapidated when you look at our environment and the pace at which we are destroying our environment. Just allow me to speak from my docket. I don't even want to mention Bishop's docket. It's something else. And of course, my brother, security and defense. I can't even remember your real question, but God has put us here.
What are the issues?
For such a time as this. And it's a make or break. And the kind of word that Bishop has given us this morning, that we are the watchmen. And we should not be found to not be aware of what is happening. So we are in a situation, a fiscal situation. It's not just Kenya, it's the entire globe. But also the rate at which we are destroying our resources, we are killing ourselves. And we are in this position for us to turn around the country. But when I look at the ministry that I am in, people are in a place of apathy. They don't care. And yet, you see that we are driving ourselves into destruction. But God has put me there to turn things around. And it's going to happen if we stay focused. I just want to speak from a personal perspective. I say I've been saved for the last 30 years. And Mariro was my schoolmate in campus, and then we found ourselves in the same space as politicians, and now we're in the same space. And I always tell him, you're more focused than me. In fact, I tell him, you're too focused. I never got to join Focus at the time of campus. Again, being a politician, I've been up and down the place. I go to different churches. Again, because of the nature of the job, I was running an entire county and I had to connect with every other church. But I'm actually primarily a member of CITAM. Many years back, I used to be in CITAM. But after going through my life cycle, I find myself, of course I used to be a member of CU, the CU in campus, but not as focused as focus. And then now I found myself back to my church in Sita, in Karen, and I find myself being a CS after so many cycles of things I've done in this country. Again, and I say I believe in destiny, so I'm here for this time when things are really thick for the country. We have many problems, but God has a plan for Kenya, and I want to believe that I am part of that plan to turn things around. But also to say to you as I finish, it is not just Bishop as the chair of ESDC, CS or PS. It is each and every one of us. It is told of a story of an orchestra where the band played and played, and then a very tiny instrument there was missing. I don't know if it's piccolo, yeah? A very small, tiny instrument. And when the band was playing and playing, the conductor just said, stop, something is missing. Because that small instrument could not be picked from the orchestra. We all have our place. This is the time to step up and do what you have to do to turn things around for this country, for God.
Thank you. You take us matters security, matters defense. Sitting there, I don't know, you can't brief us on what you're briefed on. We will all run away. But what are the issues we are dealing with as a country from where you sit?
Yeah, thank you very much. Is there media?
Well,
Yes,
not much.
they are here.
Let's focus on to the extent you can share.
Yeah, well, it's good to have that free space. As our Bishop from where CS has mentioned, I think we, as a country generally, we are in a very tight situation, particularly fiscally. We have a very narrow fiscal space as we are speaking. The truth of the matter, we did exceptional borrowing as a country. This is my personal view. I'm not speaking on behalf, now I'm not speaking on behalf of government. I'm speaking of like Patrick, who is a PS. That's why I say there should be no media. Because I will not be included in this one. But it's a very sharp fiscal space. We overborrowed over the years. We have big situations coming from COVID now. This the Ukraine-Russia war is real to us and to many other countries across the globe. We have come from elections, and as you know, usually that shapes very many things, economically as a country.
You're coming into a docket, but there are also things that you see where, as a country, is as specific as it can get. Yes.
Well, for me, I talk from theory because I'm not there. I've never been in government. I've been fun sitting on the edges and seeing where the ball should have been kicked and it was not. But now getting into the field, I don't know whether I will even see the ball. So you'll be saying, now, why did you kick that ball? I didn't even see it. So it's still at a very theoretical level, but on a more serious note, what concerns me is really how we have normalized corruption. That is what concerns me. I think several of you have referred to my net worth that I had to declare before the members of parliament that were vetting. So when I said 170 million, my report, Kenyans on Twitter thought, just that reaction gave me a lot of insight. Because almost all of them said, I've looted Sita. Yeah, that's what they said, primarily. Somebody said, of course, Sita has a lot of money, so him being official for 10 years, this is even little. That it shows you that how we think. We think that the only way you can make money, grow well, provide for yourself is through corruption. That's our mindset. No wonder, therefore, any person who enters into a space of leadership or responsibility, that's their first job. I want to believe that my brother and sister are not in that league. But it is the kind of mindset. People will even ask you, I've worked in government for 5 years, what do you have to show for it? You know, so it's like, that's the norm. Without having to justify my declaration, I bought my first property as a student at the University of Nairobi with Boom, near Kenyatta University. There was land being sold there for 12,000 shillings. You pay 1,000 shillings deposit, and you pay the balance in 1 year. So when I was passing by there, I thought, I can buy this with my Boom. Those of you who don't know Boom, especially students. As students, we used to be given allowance, student allowance, and it used to go on Boom. So I actually bought that piece of land. It is still there. Recently I checked it, it is worth 10 million. Yeah, it is worth 10 million. So that's the part of the 170. We bought, when we built our first house, it cost us about 3.6 million. We sold it for about 3 times that amount and purchased land, plot where we are and built for about 11 million. That property now is worth more than 60 million. That's part of the 170. All this, when we built our house, I was General Secretary for Focus. And you know that General Secretary, unless now, Simon is getting something. You know, when I went for interview at church to become a pastor there, and I became the administrator for the church. When I was because I was also in charge of HR and so on and finance, when I looked, the head watchman, the salary of the head watchman was what I was earning as General Secretary for Focus. No, not too different. I was called to be a watchman, yes, and champion. So, but God in His own grace, actually we built our first house without any loan, without any financing. That's a story that some of you have heard us say. But in His own grace, He helped us to build that house over a 5-year period. And we completed it. Like I said, now it is worth more than 60 million. So, and a few other stories. So, it is possible in this country, under a stable environment, an enabling environment, for every Kenyan to be in a place where they can support themselves. But we have created a culture of, I think it's Simon who said, or is it you wanted to jump these other steps so that you can get to the place where you can serve ice cream. And that's the mentality we have. So how can we help Kenyans to know that it pays just to work hard and to move slowly, and you will get there? I don't think we are among the richest. In fact, when I got back home, Nancy was saying, but you forgot the other one. So it could have been a little more. And I can tell you there are many CITAM members here. CITAM is one of the current organizations. We have received awards several times from Kenya Revenue Authority and from other government entities that have come to audit and look at our books. We operate very openly. If I touched even a coin of CITAM, it would be known, and some media person, some social media person would be very happy to put it there so that this thing is a scam. But how then can we help Kenyans to get to that place where hard work pays, where a mama mboga selling their mboga there can actually make money and educate their children, who then can come and uplift them? Like, I think I haven't heard your story, but I have heard her story, and mine are almost very similar. I was the first person to go to university in our family of 16. And it made a difference for us. It made a difference in the village and so on. So this is a long story. I'm answering your question still, but let me just say this. That is what is driving me. That is what I'm praying for. In fact, I almost shared the same sermon I've shared here in Parliament until one of them say, you don't preach to us. But I say, if I don't preach this thing, there's nothing else. Because this is where it all begins. If we can get men and women who are committed to loving this country and to serving this country, we can go very far.
Thank you very much, and you can answer the last question. So we'll just come to Marie. Let's appreciate. Please, if you have any questions, any comments, be getting ready. Actually, after the last comments, I'm just coming to the floor. My clock tells me we just have about another 15 minutes or so. We'll bring this to a close. Marilu, you are on this side. What kind of support, what kind of engagement do you desire to see? You know, he's talking about people, appreciating the value of work. Corruption is not the way forward. But are there things that, from where you sit, including support for people like you, who are putting in, told on average now is about 60 hours of work in the current government. What kind of support, what kind of engagement do you desire to see people both practically doing, but also in support? And then I will close with comments.
Yeah, there are many areas that I think that will, in the coming days and weeks, we should be engaging. I'm a beneficiary of certain forums within Focus that helps me, and including this one. It's very nice to be here as a government official, just sit there and be challenged, and be reminded, and be encouraged to do things right. The preaching by Bishop is very gratifying. It's very enriching. Please, those in the government like me are not super people. We are not super people. We are not people to be feared and to be saluted. Makes it like a drama. I personally don't like it.
Yeah.
We are ordinary people. Please challenge us and let please don't be judgmental. Don't be judgmental. For politicians especially, but for members of parliament, because I was one, they used not like to go to like these tables or these forums, because the moment the member of parliament comes here and says, and this government, these MPs, don't be judgmental to that member of parliament. Let them find love at a forum where they can be encouraged. Some of them are going to church because it's about, sometimes they are like accused, sometimes they are seen as quote unquote the evil. This is an embodiment of evil or something like that. And it's not maybe that person individually, but the way the politicians are condemned sometimes, even in church. I would like you to find, to have spaces for leaders and politicians in our churches, in our homes, in our fellowship, in our friendship, so that these individuals are encouraged to stick to the way it should be. I I'll be very happy to have Bishop here, someone would have put me and say, can we have lunch? You know, and tell me, what is this? And we got that. I got a forum, which I keep putting. I think Bishop Kairisto was there. I think Dr. Washira was there. I think Ogaro was there. Some place. Yes, Bishop Ogine was there in at the home of Dr. Washira. And they called us with Murkomen. That I cannot ever forget that forum, many years back. And they told us, we want to hear what you are doing in government as members of parliament. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? For me, that forum was so powerful. They didn't repeat the forum. I wish they repeated the forum. They just did once and have not. But for me, it is a very nice forum where, as a Christian, I can be encouraged and challenged and rebuked. You know, get those elders. There are very many elders here. We are younger people who are getting to government. Please call us. Please challenge us. Please encourage us. Please, when you hear me say something in the media, maybe now I will say less and less. I used to say when I was a member of parliament, now as a PS, you don't say. I'll be sacked. But you hear anything within the Ministry of Defense, and the PS there, call me. Say, no, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. Please, push us. You know? But also, there's a lot of other things to celebrate in government. A lot of things. Sometimes I feel like, you know, I go to the office. I am in the office at 6:30 in the morning. I work until maybe around 6 and go home. But sometimes the government is bashed until I wonder, is there something good also in this government? There are also very good things. There are people who are working extremely hard in this government. There are people, it's amazing, people who are working day and night, even as a politician. Today, tomorrow, on Monday, I was sharing with the CS, the Ministry of Defense. I will be leading a delegation to the US. Actually, that day, this evening, we are launching a SITREX, Taifa 1, a SITREX to over 550 kilometers into the orbit. That's the first time that is happening in the entire region. It has been done by KDF, you know, and it will be over flying Kenya every 4 years, every 4 days. And they are doing a ground receiver station in Kasarani. And that data from the SITREX to that ground receiver will be used in agriculture, will be used in forestry, will be used in urbanization, in you know, huge good things. In May this year, by God's grace, the ministry, the KDF is going to launch the first ship. Big ship will not be importing ship from Spain and others. We are commissioning the first ship in Mombasa, in Kisumu, and another here. There are people working so hard. Please, let us celebrate them also. Let us celebrate good things as we also frown upon bad things. So that some of us can also feel it's a good thing. Finally, you know, when I was a member of parliament, you know, I contested to be governor. I contested to be governor. I lost. And, you know, in my view, I really should have won. You actually won. Not doing for another. Let's be honest. If only those that I pushed to have electricity ever voted for me, only those ones, Bishop, I would have won. If those that I reorganized bursary, just bursary, the way I found it, and the way I left it, those who are beneficiaries of the bursary program that I reorganized, and I worked so hard until my wife asked me, hey, if only those voted for me, I would have won. But I did not do that. That's a story of another day. But so one day, I will finish with this one. One day, so this rally, you know, you push, you lobby. In this government, you have to lobby things. As a member of parliament, I lobbied for Tapa into some place that I knew ever there will be no electricity because I'm born there. Tapa, I'm born there. And I knew that end. I couldn't have it. So I lobbied for the first time. And I was so excited. After 3 years lobbying, there was Tapa. So I had this big meeting, and I knew this is a game changer. So I told them, good people, for the first time since I was born, there is tarmac. The road is flat. Can you see the road is flat? And it's a good thing to celebrate. Baba moja akachukua mkono juu, akasema, I would like to say something. Akauliza maneno ni kweli labda imrete, lakini ngoja nikuulize swali. Jioni unaweza kata pisi kidogo ya hii dhambi upatie watoto. Upatie watoto wakule. Nikaona huyu mama hivyo ama Christian lakini kifungua mdomo wake. Nitakujibu vipi? I felt like crying. And that is a story sometimes of leaders who are working very hard, sometimes they are also very frustrating situations. Please, whip us and encourage us sometimes.
Thank you so much, indeed.
Thank you so much. I can attest, we were vying for governorship together. Again, we've been kind of following each other in career. So I was vying for governor, he was also vying for governor, and he worked really hard. But none of us got elected as governors. But as it is, God had bigger plans for us. In terms of the support we need, Bishop, just what the MPs were telling you not to do, preaching, is what we need to do. We need to go back to the ABCs of our very existence, of our roles and responsibilities as Kenyans, as Christians, in order for us to restore things in our country, in this globe. We have to keep hammering. Really going back to the basics. And with that, we need to pull together. We need to move together. And that brings us to the question of what is the role of the church? The church cannot afford to take a backseat in politics and governance. We have to be at the center of things, because then there is when we influence the change we want to see. On matters environment, climate change, we are coming out very strongly to say that if we don't take radical measures, then we are losing our lives. There'll be no country, there'll be no, globe. And one of the big radical measures we are taking is Kenya. Our president heads the Climate Change Committee at the African Union. The president is the chair of the Climate Change Committee at the AU. And I know you have heard how passionate he has come and very strongly to advocate for matters climate change action. And what we are saying, we have come into a space as a CS and those players in the climate action space. There is a lot of hypocrisy. There is a lot of, people say we have these big forums, the COPs that we go all around. The next one is coming in the UAE. We just finished Egypt, where the whole world comes together to talk about climate action. And as you all know, Africa and Kenya being part of Africa, we contribute the least to destruction of the environment in terms of carbon emissions. The big industrialized countries that are using fossil fuels are the ones who are killing the globe. And there is a responsibility for them to actually give back and make amends for the contribution they are making. And when we go to COPs and people make pledges that they are going to give billions and billions of shillings to come to Africa, and those that are contributing the least, so that we deal with the destruction of droughts and hunger that we are facing because of climate change. But the money never comes. It's hypocrisy, that's what I call it. And so we have said, God has placed us here as a leader in Africa. What is it we have to offer? In as much as we are contributing the least, God has given us resources, nature-based resources, and that's why you hear us telling Kenyans, the least we can do, come out and plant trees. When we plant those trees, that's like the least we can do. When you come out to plant trees, we will restore our environment, we will reduce the droughts and food security and all that. But we are also saying, if you know, Kenya right now has 92% of its energy is renewable. 92%. And we are pushing it to make it 100%. Geothermal, solar, and those other things. And we are saying, what we can do as Africa, and we are trying to rally Africa, is to say, we can actually do a green industrial revolution. It sounds so big and impossible, but it can be done. And we are hosting the first ever climate summit here in Nairobi in September. And we are doing a lot of campaign to say, as Africans, let's forget about these lies we are told we'll be given dollars to change things and value. Can we do what is in our hands to do? And we are going back to say, what is in our hands? What is it that God has placed in our place to do? And we want to see an exodus of people from the West coming into this country to do green industrialization. And it can be done by exploring our wind, our solar, our geothermal. We have it here. But they are not funding that. It's cheaper to access funding for exploration of fossil fuels, but they don't want to fund green industrialization. But we want to push the world to that direction. Prayer is what we need, but number two, beyond prayer, let's get into action. And I'm happy I spoke to Simon, and from that basis, I want to see Focus join me in the ministry to contribute to our plan to plant 15 billion trees, Focus across the country. And to help us as we do the run-up to the climate summit, I have to mobilize the environment ministers of the whole of Africa so that we are speaking the same voice. So that is not just the president saying it, it's not just me. Bishop wants you to be talking about green industrialization, a green industrial revolution, which will sort out our problem of climate change, and we will stop those people from using fossil fuels. You know, we have the opportunity to export fossil fuels in this country, but we are saying we are not going to do that because we'll be contributing to the destruction. That's the vision, that's what we are doing. Take your position, and I'll go back to the story of the people. From where you are, take your space. And I'm praying that God is refocusing me. I'm available to be an associate of Focus. That, which I didn't do when I was in campus. Here I am now. Amen. So God bless you.
God bless you so much. Thank you so much. And somebody help me with the mic, and I think this is where I get to start. We're going to take a round of comments, questions. I think the issues are pretty clear. We'll keep this for about 15 minutes because the two of them have many things, as you have maybe actually explained in the US today. So we would like to please in good time for this. If you have a question, a comment, a contribution to the discussion we had from the time we had the keynote, they were all supposed to flow together. Just lift up your hand, the mic will be brought to you, and then just another 10 minutes of this, and then we'll take a tea break and come back later. There's a hand here, then there's a hand on the table, then there's a hand at the back table. Let's start here, the gentleman in blue, and then we go to that must be one.
Should I stand up or seated?
Whichever way you prefer. Okay. But just say your name for purposes of.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Kibe. I come from Egerton University. I work there in the agriculture sector. And just want to appreciate the brothers and sisters for the great work that you people have done and the courage that you have within you to just do what you're doing, and indeed it's sobering to hear what you're saying, and I hear Marie was crying that you need our help. I would want to help, and I deal with climate smart. I have a center at the university. We are developing a curriculum for training, in fact, across Africa. I've worked in some places in Wega, Laikipia, promoting seed potato production, which is the second most important food crop in Kenya that has been neglected by researchers. The Western people are hypocrites. They pretend the money they give you, it's like a carrot before, they say a horse? And you keep running after it. You give them data, they make you work for them, and they use that data against you later. My question, one of the questions is, what are you doing?
Keep it to one question, please, and briefly possible. Well,
what's the plan for engaging the universities? Because we feel that the universities, we have very little to do with the government policies, with the government interventions. Can you start engaging us? We have a lot of solutions that we can help in supporting what you people do out there in the real world.
thank you so much. Let's go to the gentleman in white, and then we go to the very back. Gentleman in a t-shirt.
My name is Benson Motemba. All of you are very important leaders handling very heavy responsibilities. I just want to know if you are willing to share, what do you do for self-care? You know, when you are out away from the limelight, what do you do to remain sane?
Thank you for asking that. Including one who used to run a lot. I want to know whether the schedule is still on.
Thank you. My name is Aminas Kariuki. So thank you to our leaders today, and I'm very happy because some of you have interacted in personal capacity, especially that I also have interest in that area, especially on politics. Now, first thing, I must say this, and the room can confess, that this is the government that has largest XCU people in leadership, and that is true. That means we have the opportunity to prove to the world that we can either lead in the right direction as Christians, or the inverse would also be true. In this case, I have a recommendation that Honorable Patrick was mentioning. What had been done by the elders then when they got them with Mulcoming, can it be done through Focus Associates? And we can be having accountability forums where we can be holding them accountable, not on camera, because again I know they cannot speak anything against the government or within the confines of outside the government for the same government. But in such forums like what has been done today, can this be done more often? And not just calling the two, but even all of them. And you know, even the president will be one of them because he was our missions coordinator. And then the last thing is, in terms of what Stefan has said, yes, I must say students and children can be the biggest contributors to afforestation. My wife used to work with an NGO where I used to push for something. And I think it is the high time we don't just involve the political class, we involve the students, because the CUs, as the national director mentioned, we have 64,000 students. If every student was given a task every year to plant 10 trees, that is going to give us more than 640 that's through Focus. So what this not only be done in a plenary, but go direct to the roots of the students taking it up. Because when the students take it up, even when they leave school, it will become a culture, and they are going to do it even when they are students. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me come this side. This side, I'm looking for a lady's hand. So the lady in green, and then Mrs. Karita, and then we'll finish with the gentleman in blue. We call it a day for now.
Thank you very much for what they have shared. But mine is just a small thing, especially from...
Your name, please?
My name is Beth Kamau, an associate from Naivasha. And a student of Bishop Bugini.
Go ahead.
Yes, one of the things that I wanted just to suggest for both of the two leaders, or the three of them, is that they need to learn to listen to the communities instead of having issues dealt from the top. Let issues come from the community. so that they don't ask you what they are going to do with the tarmac road. Let them know that what is the real need, so that when they make decisions, it should come from a community perspective. They should be listening to the people. That's my take.
Thank you very much.
And one of the practical things, when I was the Minister of Development, I was one of the biodiversity negotiators, so I know what you talk about. We're talking about hopes and what they promise and what they fail to do. But what is important is that when I retire, one of my things I do is to encourage communities and other people to raise seedlings. And one of the complaints they have is that when the seedlings are ready, when the Ministry of Forest come, they use brokers and they give them very minimum price. So the practical thing I want us to do is maybe I should come to your office for more discussion, but we have a team of nursery raisers who are now having seedlings in millions. But the idea is to contribute towards the 15 million that we are aiming at. So maybe I need to have a longer talk so that we work on the practical perspective.
Thank you. Point taken. The whole place of brokers, I think, has been a big discussion across the sectors. People who not only advance business, but basically just exist to shortchange others.
Mr. Kibe from Egerton. What my ministry is doing currently is really trying to consolidate all the efforts. We are engaging all the players. It's such a marathon since our appointment. Somebody said this is a government where we work 60 hours. Did you say 60 hours a day?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's been really working round the clock to put things together, but definitely we intend to work with the universities, because even in tree growing, we are saying we are moving from just trees have been planted in this country year in, year out, but there's nothing to show for it, because not a lot of thought has gone into the whole exercise. And when you say tree growing, it's not as simple as that. There's a science to it. We need to now look at it as a livelihood concern. How does it respond to the food security of Kenyans? And of course, our institutions of learning come in very handy, right from the primary schools. They come in as very important labor to support that climate action, up to the research institutions. So we are taking that seriously. What to do for self-care? It's a very real question. I've heard of many cases of colleagues who actually, break down after every so often. Yeah. So for me, I pray. I pray a lot. I try to exercise, and definitely it's a very, very important question. And also to focus on family and such actions like being in focus and reaching out to other people and making sure that you don't lose your focus in all the other spiritual nourishment, family time, and extracurricular activities. Yes, this is a government that has been prayed into place. Yeah, you say that it might be the largest ex-EU membership in government, right from the president, and we have to continue supporting the government through that prayer that will put us in place in the first place. And in terms of accountability forums, I think they are very important, but let's look at it as a two-way. It's not just for us to be accountable, but also for you to be accountable in what you're doing to support us and in what you're doing wherever you are. We are all leaders, wherever we are. So I would say I would really look forward to those accountability forums where we come and talk, exchange ideas, and rebuke where that needs to be done, and really be realistic in being the change agents in this country. The need for us to learn to listen to our electorate, that is very true. But the issue of the tarmac, the fact that it can't be cooked and eaten by children in the evening, speaks to a deeper problem that Kenyans are actually, it has become a hand-to-mouth life kind of a situation, which is unfortunate. That they will not even see the bigger picture of things. That's why the good leaders that me and Mariro are cannot be elected as governors, as much as we are pushing ourselves. They look at other considerations. In essence, they are telling Mheshimiwa Mariro, if you're not giving me a handout, then you're saying nothing. They will actually not listen to you if you don't give them handouts. And that speaks to a very deep-seated problem in our country. The hustler nation and the congestion, I think it's a big issue of concern. Speaks to our environmental conservation and the planning of our country. It's a big concern, and I know there are initiatives to make sure that we address the issue. The question by Daniel about seedlings and brokers in between. We have an elaborate plan of making sure that we have each and every nursery, tree nursery in this country, registered with KEFRI. And it is those young people, it's those women across the country who are propagating nurseries. We want to link them up with Kenya Forestry Research Institute, so that we know where the trees are and where we can get them. And that will automatically weed off the brokers. Thank you.
I'll ask Marino and David as you respond, just to those that have not been responded to.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the main one that I thought is very sobering is what we try to remain safe. I think that's a very important question. That's a very important question. Honestly, I do struggle with it. I hope to. I think sometimes we overstretch ourselves. I personally think so. Sometimes you are in your place in darkness and live in darkness. It's not healthy. But there's a lot of pressure also. The truth of the matter is, you can say here, our president is not a small one in pressure. I mean, you will easily see, if you see her dash out, it's because she has been caught right now, even when we are on this interview, because the president is extremely hands-on, extremely hands-on. You will not tell him something last week and tell him something different this week. He will remember. And what needs to be done must be done. And I like it that way. I think it's the right thing to do, because if he says the meeting is at 8, we are not used to that, but the meeting starts at 8. We went to the retreat in Nanyuki, and he says the meeting will start more at 8. People thought it's a joke. I think he was seated there. People thought he would be with us for a few hours and then leave. The president sat there until 8 at night. Then 8 at night he said, I want to see these people. So he told us to go out for dinner. He was left with another group, and I think he had another group until past midnight. Let's pray for him also. But as you said, we need time ourselves to relax. I'm particularly keen myself on family, Maybe that also makes other things get sacrificed, because after work, usually I am unlikely to meet anyone. After work, I go home, so that then I have time with my family. And also church. So it's a whole balance. It's a whole balance. And do a bit of jogging and all that. I think it's works in progress. I think it's an area we need to keep improving. It's very important. Thank you for that question. I think it's very, very important. Finally, the issues of accountability, I spoke to it. I think it's a good thing. Maybe not to make it too formal. If you make it too formal, everyone will answer away, as who are always in formal forums, will run away from formal forums. But some fellowship. Can I give an example? Ogano, George Ogano, I don't know whether he is here. There's a day I go to sit up, vicar of myself, been a member there for many years. So one day when we are charged to go for the first service, so he calls me and says, we are having lunch today with your family and my family. So we go up roasters. There's a place they do fish, very nice fish there. But they have since removed that roaster. They didn't have a building there. So we have a fellowship there over fish for the next 2 hours. You know, because if you start planning, like next month on last day at 4, we shall meet. So he just says, let's meet. I mean, this is a simple example of how you can keep fellowshipping amongst each other. Or minister, tell her, look, let's have tea or something. It is helpful for you and for us and for everyone else. So those accountability, I think that's it. Finally, I think what we probably need as Kenyans is to stop bad manners. If you go to other countries, there are a lot of bad manners. You know, either traffic, people are jumping traffic, or it's bad manners. You either queues, people are jumping queues. I think that's the problem we have in Kenya. Lots of bad manners. People have to just stop bad manners. If it's a queue, you queue. If it's traffic, you just stay in the traffic. If it is in the bank, you stay in the right place. If it is here, you stay here. You know, if we sorted out all those bad manners, Kenya will be okay. Sorry.
Thank you. I think most of the questions were more relevant to the two already on board. So I think I'll only answer what can we do to help. And when we, in our discussion,
Self-care is
self-care, is there such a thing? That is a very, for me, I would say, very elusive. There was a time when I was bishop of CITAM, and my term was coming to an end. I was really looking forward to that time because I just thought this is the only solution. So in fact, I would have stayed a little longer because of COVID situation that we are in. The leadership felt that it was not a good time to transition. But I had become so tired that I said, let's do this thing. And so we did, and I was happy to hand over to Callisto to carry that burden so that I can go home and rest and finally have time with my wife and children. So I did, and the first few months, I must say, it was so good. I could even sit down with Kina Joyce and watch a movie. They were so excited that Daddy is watching a movie, you know, because that was not happening. But with time, things began to pick up again. And I found myself perhaps more busy than I used to be when I was bishop. And most of my time, very interestingly, what takes my time is on national issues. Come for this meeting. Come for this meeting. Let's sort out these elections. Raila started demonstration. Come and and they are just continuing. So during that short stint that I talked about, I had set a very good routine. I mean, walking 3 times a week and sitting down, going for lunches with family and so on. And it was the kind of life I was thinking, this now is life. But I've been robbed of it yet again. So I'm trying still to see how do I get into that space where we can take care of our lives in a more organized manner, I would benefit from advice.
We shall get it here.
Thank you. When you asked that question, my wife looked at me and I looked at her. You know that when the person asked, what do you do for self-care? She immediately looked at me because that's a question she should have asked. Yeah. Now, the second question I would like to just respond to is, what can we do to help? I think I said it when I was speaking, but let me just reiterate. Be Mordecai to Esther. These two gentlemen and lady are Esther's. And as you hear, 60 hours a week, so engaged with so many things, some think they see, but they don't see. You think they know, but they don't know. So that which you have seen, why don't you take them for lunch, like Ogalo, and say, by the way, Bonapiers, we are aware of it. And you may find that he's actually not aware, and you'll be very surprised. You're in government, how can you not be aware? You know, Esther was not aware, and she was in the palace. So can you be our Mordecais? You see an issue, don't assume it is known. Don't assume somebody will do something about it. Many of us here are connected with one or two people, maybe not at the very top, but somewhere in the middle. Just ask and be a Mordecai. The other one is be sons of Issachar, who I also talked about. To affect our nation. How? And again, I want to say, the fact that a person is in a position of leadership does not mean they know everything. And I think our two friends already in leadership have said that. They don't know everything. So just coming to say, by the way, like our brother there said, in environment, have you thought about this? You know, this can actually work for us as a nation. And that will help us so much to be able to put this agenda to make our country better environmentally. But sometimes you assume because she is a CS, she should know. So when she's not doing it, you're like, I think we got the wrong person. It's not the wrong person. It's just that we don't know everything. But perhaps this is your area of expertise. It is something that God has dropped an insight to you. Come and tell them. Come and tell us. So if, for example, I was to get into this position of chair of Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission, it's not that I know everything. It's just a daring move. But some of you have great ideas of what could be done to tackle corruption in this country. Why don't you come over and say, by the way, Bishop, as you get into this, think about this, think about this. This has been used somewhere. I've been in touch with so-and-so or in this forum somewhere, and we have had this. Those are things that can really help. I remember doing that with Archbishop when he got into office, and he was so very grateful. So don't assume that people in leadership know. Sometimes you know more than they do. Share with us. That's what I would say.
The Fellowship of Christian Unions, reaching students, changing nations.